So I'm guessing when Gypsy said the D was fire, she literally meant it was fire, because after 2 months of her being released from prison, rumors already started to flood the internet that Gypsy Rose was pregnant. This rumor started when Gypsy Rose and her husband Ryan Anderson appeared virtually at a panel for the documentary. And while they were there and being interviewed, Ryan actually said that since his wife's release, he's been enjoying doing typical marriage activities such as grocery shopping. He stated, "I wanted Gypsy to feel free to get whatever she wanted," before sharing one specific purchase. He said, "I'm going to tell them," before saying, "You bought baby clothes for a future baby." And I was like, we're not there yet, slow down. So immediately I can debunk those rumors and say, no, she's not pregnant, but she has purchased baby clothes for a potential future baby. This wasn't the only rumor I saw, because I've seen so many variations of this video. Yeah, pregnancy rumors and divorce rumors. But no need to Google and figure out divorce rumors, because I did that for you, and yeah, no need to thank me, I know. I did one search and found absolutely nothing except for TikTok videos of people saying that Gypsy's both divorced and pregnant at the same time, but not actually any evidence or information other than people spreading the same line over and over again. Also, this was just not the first time the two have been rumored to having a baby together. In an Instagram post by Gypsy and Lifetime, Gypsy could only be seen from her shoulders up, which people began to speculate she was hiding her stomach area. One person commented under this video, writing, "I have a feeling she's pregnant," and another responded by saying, "I was thinking the same thing." Gypsy has previously spoken about potentially starting a family with Ryan, and that's when she said, "I'm going to have kids one day, and I'm going to have to explain to my kids why their grandmother on mom's side isn't around." And that's going to be a really hard conversation, because I'm sure you've heard about Gypsy's childhood by now and all the events that led her to plot how she and her boyfriend at the time, Nicholas Godejohn, would take Dee Dee's life. And recently, Gypsy and Ryan were both interviewed by ET's Rachel Smith, and they sat down to discuss their high-profile and, of course, headline-grabbing relationship, as well as their plans for the future altogether. Although Gypsy and Ryan tied the knot back in July of 2022, while Gypsy was still behind bars, since her release, they've been spending quality time together, but still, the transition Gypsy and Ryan both have to make, as their relationship now is very different than it was before. Plus, Gypsy has never really been quote-unquote free, because since she was born, her mother basically controlled a lot of her everyday activities, as she wasn't allowed to socialize with certain people, and it was like her mother Dee Dee monitored a lot of her choices. And she also spent years behind bars, and now she's finally out. It must take a lot of adjusting to learn things once again. Even before she was sent to prison, her life was anything but normal, so trying to adjust to everything now is honestly probably very difficult. During this interview, they talked about settling into married life as the two now live together. They cooked their first dinner together, and Gypsy said it was fun and they're still learning about one another. Ryan also discussed how because the two of them got married while Gypsy was still in jail, she was able to live with Ryan straight out of prison, and it was important for them because that's what they wanted. But a lot of people wonder if this was the best decision, because some thought she should try and live her life on her own to embrace her freedom before fully settling down. But Gypsy expressed that she spent 8.5 years in prison, which she was all alone for, and she was tired of sleeping in bed by herself, tired of feeling like she had no one to share memories with, and she always just knew that she did want someone to share it with, and now she does know who. Gypsy was actually quite the prize to hundreds of men, because while she was still behind bars, she would have hundreds and hundreds of men who would contact her, but she felt a special connection with Ryan. Gypsy saw Ryan's letter he wrote for her after he watched her interview, and in his letter, he wrote about how he was from Louisiana, which is where Gypsy is also originally from, and so she wrote back, They ended up becoming friends and now lovers. Plus, when Gypsy received her wedding ring from Ryan, the two felt like it was a sign of fate because the ring was Ryan's mother's ring and it was passed down to Gypsy. And it actually fit perfectly. They didn't even have to adjust it or anything at all, which made them feel like their love was meant to be. They were also asked about potentially expanding their family one day, which Gypsy said, despite all the trauma and challenges in her own childhood, she isn't against the idea of having kids one day. Spoiler alert, this interview occurred before the whole baby clothes news broke out. But Gypsy shared how both her and Ryan have talked about starting a family, they just don't feel like it's the right time right now. Gypsy feels like her life is kind of hectic, and so they're taking this day by day. Plus, she also said that they're trying to start off their marriage on a good foot before bringing kids into the situation right now, and personally, I think this sounds like a very responsible thing to do. It's definitely important to have a good relationship and stable home before welcoming a baby. Plus, these two are learning to live with each other. Imagine adding a newborn baby into this mix. Although they want to one day have a child of their own, right now doesn't seem like the right time, as the two expressed they hope for a family one day. However, they did welcome a different type of baby into the world, which I personally believe is a superior baby. And that, of course, was a puppy. She shared a video onto Instagram of her 8-week-old black and white puppy named Pixie. And the caption read, "Puppy parents." The puppy is a Malshi, which is a Maltese Shih Tzu mix, and she is so adorable. I love dogs, but one person, or should I say organization, that wasn't so happy about this news was PETA. And no, not Josh Hutcherson's character from the Hunger Games, silly. They commented under Gypsy's post of her puppy, writing, "So sweet, if you add to your family, please adopt from a local shelter in the future." And Gypsy even acknowledges that having a baby right now isn't the best idea. And she also said that the two of them wanted something that they can both kind of have, to take care of, and to add to their family, but because they weren't ready for a baby yet, this was the next best thing. We are about to time travel back some years because Gypsy and Nicholas Godejohn apparently talked about having a baby as well as an alternative way to get Dee Dee's approval of their relationship. So when the two met on a Christian dating site, they began to talk, and that is when Gypsy asked Nick to ultimately help her take her own mother's life because she couldn't do it herself. And in a Dr. Phil interview from 2017, Gypsy said she asked Nick after she got into an argument with her mother over her feeding tube, which we all know now she never needed. But before this plan, their original plan was to run away together and actually try to get Gypsy pregnant so her mom would be forced to let Nick into her life. We all know that didn't happen, and Nick said the reason why the original plan didn't go through was because they didn't get a chance to go down that route. Because of the limited time they had, as he added that there was no way that it would have been possible. Nick also added that him and Gypsy wanted a baby, they wanted to get married, they wanted to be together forever, but the only thing in the middle blocking these two from doing what they wanted was Dee Dee. Dee Dee actually found Nick creepy because he showed up as an adult man to a Missouri movie screening of the Cinderella film. He took a bus from Wisconsin to attend in order to try and impress Gypsy's mother, who was far from impressed. In fact, Dee Dee didn't want her daughter to be dating anyone, which Gypsy recounted when she was 19. She attempted to run away, but when her mom found her and brought her back home, she chained Gypsy for 2 weeks. After those 2 weeks, Dee Dee ran some errands and bought home a few items, such as a cow tongue. And she took the cow tongue and placed it in a mason jar with the photo of Gypsy and the photo of the guy she ran off with, and even added a bit of Gypsy's time of the month, if you know what I mean. Dee Dee then took this jar and buried it somewhere in their backyard and told Gypsy she would never find love and that she would never be happy. To this day, Gypsy believes the curse was real because every time she seems to be getting close to someone, they end up leaving her. An example was her former fiance, Ken, who was engaged to Gypsy in 2019 before she met Ryan, and Ken ended up calling it quits to their relationship. But before Ken called things off, Nick actually heard about her engagement to Ken, and reportedly after Nick heard about this, he proposed to Gypsy himself and gave her an ultimatum. Gypsy said that Nick's ultimatum was that he would give her 1 month to choose between him and Ken, but in the end she decided to stick with Ken and leave Nick in the past. But now we all know she's married to Fire D Ryan because that's how everyone remembers her husband now. For her comments about his apparent huge personality, of course. And I think we all know why Gypsy Rose is quite the controversial figure. I mean, it's hard to not sympathize with her knowing what she's gone through as a child, but it's also been a hot topic whether Gypsy should be living a very public, almost celebrity lifestyle just following the release of prison. Many believe it's probably best for her to seek support and therapy from behind the scenes because she has a lot to heal from instead of making everything so public, because we all know how the internet works and it's not the best for making your mental health any better. Plus, she's already been so-called canceled once on Instagram after she posted a shout out for her young nephew who asked for the shout out, but he was young and people in the comments were warning her about safety. Especially because we all know she met Nick on the internet and the two ended up behind bars. Gypsy's entire presence is honestly controversial because a lot of people seem to be split on whether she was able to actually escape her mother's control without doing what she ended up doing, and I think a lot of people just want her to be off the internet. But as of now, no baby is on the way, and instead, Gypsy hopes she'll be able to travel when she's off of probation. She hopes to visit Rome and Switzerland specifically, but currently her life is too hectic for a day job. But she did entertain the idea of potentially being a hair or makeup stylist or even working in retail, which is probably a better idea than being an influencer. Did you hear about these pregnancy rumors or even divorce rumors? It seems like every day I log on to TikTok, there is just more and more rumors surrounding Gypsy Rose, so don't be surprised if I tell you she gets a pet unicorn next. Anyways, I would love to hear all your thoughts and opinions surrounding all things Gypsy Rose or anything you'd like to share. And if you made it this far, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you don't know me already, I'm Melanie with InformOverload, and I'll be sure to see you next time. Bye!